my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and tonight I'm speaking with guitar player Fred Mabunga. And Fred, you got a Jimi Hendrix tribute band called Liquid Sky, and you're based out of the Bay Area. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And now I guess the best place to start the interview off is could you share with us how you first got into the music of Jimi Hendrix?
How I first got into Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, did a friend or a family member, somebody turn you on to him? Did you hear a song on the radio?
Yeah, well, actually growing up as a preteen in the 70s, my cousins were musicians, and they're the ones that primarily turned me on to a lot of early guitar stuff. They were into Black Sabbath and Robin Trower and Frank Marino, of course, Jimi Hendrix, and that's how I first heard Jimi Hendrix and that type of psychedelic blues kind of thing.
And do you remember what was the first song you heard by Jimi that really turned you on, if you know what I mean?
Well, most commonly known as probably Purple Haze.
Yeah.
Heard that guitar sound, and that was it. It's like, wow, okay, what's that guitar sound? How's he doing that? And that's kind of what prompted me to first initially start listening to Jimi Hendrix.
Okay, cool. And Jimmy's like a triple threat in the sense that, he's a great songwriter. Obviously, he's a great. Nobody can deny what a fabulous guitar player is. He's got a pretty decent singing voice. He could do it all. But on top of that, if anybody that's ever seen any video footage, or if they've ever had the privilege to see Jimi live, this is a guy that. He did not just, play like most guitar players. He played the guitar with his teeth. He set it on fire. He played it upside down.
That's correct. And the thing about Jimi Hendrix was it wasn't that he was the first one to play with his teeth.
Yeah.
Play behind his back, or play with a long cord. The long cord thing came from Buddy Guy, playing behind the head and all that stuff. You go back to the 40s and earlier, and T-Bone Walker was doing that kind of stuff, but it was just the idea that not only visually he was great to watch on stage, but as you mentioned, he was a triple threat, and he was the first one that really put all those things together and make a show out of it. He was often accused of outshowing some of his bandmates, in his earlier days, playing with Little Richard, and doesn't go over too well. There's only one showman in that band, and so sometimes, I guess you can see where it took off from there. Even in the early days, if you watch some of the old videos with Little Richard, you'll see Jimi in the background, and he's still doing his thing.
Yeah, now you said you grew up in the 70s, so I got to ask, did you ever have the opportunity to see, Jimi perform live back in his day?
No, I'm slightly too young. I grew up on more of a teen in the late 70s and early 80s, so those were my teen years. So I was just a little too young to catch all the Winterland and Fillmore gigs.
And thank goodness that we have all of that video footage. To still enjoy these days. These days.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out of the vaults now, and people's own personal 8mm stuff that are really surfacing right now. And it's really cool to see alternative footage. Yeah,
and now late last year they released a. Jimi Hendrix biopic. I didn't get a chance to see it because it wasn't, it didn't have a really wide release. Did you get a chance to see that?
Which one was it?
Well, I don't even know what it was called, but they actually had a Jimi Hendrix biopic that was in select theaters towards the end of 2014, and I didn't get a chance to see it myself because, like I said, it wasn't a wide release. But have you had a chance to see that or hear anything about it?
No, I have not, but I'm interested in checking that out.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I could get the name for you. And but I could understand why there wasn't like a wider release. You think somebody like Jimi Hendrix, people would love to go see that in a movie,
Yeah, absolutely. absolutely. Yeah. You know.
And you know, where you're from in the Bay Area, back in the '80s, they've always had a great music scene. I mean, back in the '80s, they had a great hardcore, metal and thrash scene. And I was going to ask you, what's the tribute scene like up there? Because for research I've done, it seems like a lot of tribute bands are popping up in the Bay Area.
Yeah, we've played with a lot of the tribute bands in the area here, and we all try and help each other out and kind of network out here. Me personally, for myself, even though the tribute thing is hot right now, it was never. This band was not the intent to jump on the tribute bandwagon. It was always, the band was built out of the love and passion for Jimmy's music and just keeping it alive.
And now, the next logical thing, I guess, to ask you, Fred, is I'm assuming that you're a lifelong, guy that's kind of, made your career in music, and you must have done the original band thing for a number of years. So,
Yes.
so why, quit doing your own original music to go the route of a tribute band? Could you tell us what your story is there?
Well, it really just kind of, like I just mentioned, it really did just kind of happen by accident here. And yes, that's correct. I played other kinds of music, and I did the blues circuit for a long time, and did a little dabble in like fusion and jazz and Latin and reggae. But it was just a natural. It was just a natural progression for us to do the Jimi Hendrix thing. It just so happens that the tribute thing is popular right now, and I've seen a lot of in the Bay Area here. A lot of tribute bands come and go, but I think the ones that are going to be the long-standing are going to be the classic ones, and your Zeppelins, your AC/DC, or there's not too many doing the Jimi Hendrix thing. So
yeah, I was going to ask you, why do you think that is? Because I mean, Jimmy is such a first of all, he's no longer here, among the living, and so there's a definite fan base. People would come see a Jimi Hendrix tribute, but I mean, if you look at like you're saying, there's thousands of Led Zeppelin and Beatles and Deep Purple tribute bands all around the world. Why do you think there aren't as many Jimi Hendrix tributes out there?
Well, for me, in my opinion, it's not easy. When I first took on this challenge here, Jimmy's music is not easy to sing and play along to. It is a strategically, the songs are really more compositions when you really break it down, and it really is written out perfectly for the way that you sing and all the in between guitar fills, and Jimmy's right hand technique was just as important as as it was almost like another member in the band. It was very percussive, but I think it's a challenge, to tell you the truth. And for me, when I decided I was going to go full-fledged with this thing, I stayed up for hours and hours till like 4 or 5 in the morning, figuring out his licks and phrasing, and trying to learn as much of it as note for note as possible.
Yeah.
Not only learning the notes, but all the subtleties and nuances that go along with it. It's very intricate.
And now I got to ask you, Fred, because again, in talking about Jimi Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix fans are really diehards and stuff. So I got to ask, I'm looking at the photos of you on your Facebook page, and as far as the costume and attire you wear, the stage outfits, you dress very much the way he did. But and excuse me if it sounds like a stupid question to ask, but have you ever had anybody ask you anything stupid like this, hey, how could you pay tribute to Jimi Hendrix when you're not even black?
Yeah. I've heard one comment.
Yeah.
But usually, and I expect criticism, especially, taking on
Yeah.
I expect that there's going to be criticism out there, but I've had plenty of people come up to me that were black that, they're like, well, I saw Jimi Hendrix, and I'm always kind of expecting it, but they're like, hey, not bad for a kid,
Because I got to tip my hat to you because, again, it sounds like a stupid thing to ask, and it kind of is, but I think it's just the ultimate proof that you've kind of proven it right there that, if you've got the talent, if you could play the songs the way Jimmy, played them and you kind of dress like he did, it shouldn't matter you're white or you're black or whatever, as long as you got a love for Jimmy and you're playing the songs, the way he did. I think that's what's
as long as you're true to it and, try to be as authentic as possible, and with our costumes as well, I try not to be too cheesy with the costumes. A lot of the gear that we wear is vintage and of that time era. Everything from, I had his military tunic made for me. You see, I have the hat, the pants, all the way down to the Beatle boots that he wore. It's all pretty authentic, so it's not just a costume really that we put on, although it is a costume that we put on stage. This is also our lifestyles as well.
Yeah, and again, you're not claiming to be Jimi Hendrix or anything, obviously, but again, this is a guy that was influenced by Jimmy. You're paying tribute by playing his music, and so on that note, I got to ask: when you're on stage, do you try to do the same, things like he did? Like, you try to play with your teeth? You try to set the guitar on fire?
I used to try and play with my teeth, but after a while, you're excuse me,
yeah,
a little sick there.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, but my dental bill doesn't cover
yeah,
playing with your teeth.
yeah. That's cool. And so the other thing I was going to ask, most people, know songs like Purple Haze and a lot of what he did with the Experience, which with a three-piece band. Do you play stuff from throughout his entire career? The Experience stuff as well as a band of gypsies and all that.
Oh yeah. I have a list of maybe 50 songs that I do with throughout different lineups that I've had. Different rhythm sections, but pretty much I do the first 3 albums and a lot of the B-sides as well that are probably a lot more obscure, to some people. So I like those too, but unfortunately, when we play with other bands, sometimes we only have a 45-minute hour set, and still even then, it's really hard to cram in all his hits because that's what people want to hear. That's what they respond to. But we do have our bar gigs where we have to play all night, and that's when all the obscure stuff comes out and all the B-sides.
Yeah, the cool thing I would think about doing Jimi Hendrix is, he's got such a cross section of material. I mean, everything from Purple Haze to All Along the Watchtower. And the interesting thing about that is that's not even an original Jimi Hendrix song. That was originally done by Bob Dylan, as most people know. And if you listen to a Jimi Hendrix version, he really made that song, his own, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, yeah. Just like how he did with Bob Dylan's "Like a Rolling Stone." He kind of made it his own. A lot of those songs were done by other people. Killing Floor was Howlin' Wolf, and even Hey Joe was, I forgot his name right now, was another hit, prior to that, which was a completely different structure.
Yeah, and the amazing thing, but I don't think a lot of people realize is, there's a lot of Jimi Hendrix material, like you were saying earlier, that's been released since the guy died, but he died relatively young, and so he didn't have a huge collection, a huge body of work. A lot of it's just been live recordings that have come out since his death. But it's amazing that this guy was able to leave that kind of legacy behind, just in that short of time.
Absolutely. Yeah, guitar players are still baffled by, what he does. And even some of the transcriptions are wrong on guitar. But, I try and pick up something from Jimmy, at least every night when I'm practicing. I still practice quite a few hours every night here, but I try and pick up something new. And, when you listen really closely, there's a lot going on there. And every time I pick up something new, every time I listen to Jimmy.
And let me ask you, you said you've been a professional musician for years, Fred, but did it take you a while to get used to be able to have the ability to sing lead and play the lead guitar at the same time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When I first took on this challenge, it was a struggle, and I had to work through it. Funny enough, as it may be, I never sang before.
Wow.
Until I've only been singing with this project for maybe like 2.5 years. So that's the first time in all my musical career.
Wow, and
over 20 years that I ever sang. So there's a lot I had to figure out kind of on, on my own.
Wow, and so Liquid Sky's been going a couple of years now, you said. So when you first got this project going, did it take you a while to get used to hearing what your voice sounded like, when you would get up on stage and sing?
Yeah, I still hate my voice. Yeah, it takes a while, but, it's just knowing how to sing from the diaphragm and some of Jimmy's vocal phrasing and his excuse me.
Yeah.
Some of his inflections. Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, and so what kind of reaction do you get from the people that come to your shows? I mean, I imagine you have people coming up, talking to you after the shows and telling you how great they thought you were.
Usually people are pretty surprised. I think, maybe some of the more radio-friendly hits that people are familiar with maybe sound a little bit more safe and sedate, but I think they're surprised how aggressive Jimi Hendrix can be also.
Yeah.
And so I think we attack it because all my guys in the band were all very hard, aggressive players, and I think it comes out that way.
And let me ask you, being a musician, do you think how much do you enjoy being like a three-piece band as opposed to a band that's got 4 or 5 guys?
Well, I'm kind of partial to trios.
Yeah.
I love Cream. I love, of course, Jimi Hendrix. There's a certain way that you play when you play in a trio, and it's really all the members knowing how to fill that space there.
Yeah, is it difficult to be like the only guitar player in the band? I mean, typically a lot of bands have a rhythm and a lead player where both guys kind of feed off of each other. Is it difficult being the sole guitar player, or do you kind of prefer that?
I kind of prefer that, and it's kind of what I'm used to. I've been in other bands where we had, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I'm just getting over a sickness. I actually had to play a gig, and it wasn't good.
Oh, sorry about that. Wow.
I'm sorry, the question was again?
Well, I was asking, about do you prefer like playing with another guitar player, or do you prefer being the sole guitar player in the band?
I think I'm just used to being one guitar player, and now that I'm a singer, in between all the vocal phrasing, it makes it a lot easier to play the filler guitar parts, because I know when not to step on, certain parts of the song.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about doing Jimi Hendrix, or really any kind of tribute, I guess, is you kind of got a built-in fan base as far as people coming out to the shows. They kind of have an idea what they're going to get when they come to see Liquid Sky perform a concert.
I'm sorry, once again?
Well, I was saying, I would think, with any tribute band, I guess, one thing you got going for you is you got kind of a built-in fan base. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. It's almost like advertising in itself.
Yeah.
If you were to say, Liquid Sky, people would go, all right. But if you say Liquid Sky, lot more interest if you say, that we are a Jimi Hendrix tribute.
Yeah, and let me ask you about the name. I was kind of curious, why didn't you name the band, something like, Purple Haze or All Along Watchtower, something people would be more familiar with? How did you come up with Liquid Sky?
Well, actually, Purple Haze, that is the only other tribute band around in the area. He happens to be in the San Francisco Bay Area also, so he has that name.
Okay.
Liquid Sky, most of those names that I like
Have been taken.
were already taken.
Yeah.
And, I wanted kind of something that was self-explanatory, that was of the time era, and just always thought Liquid Sky was kind of like I think it's kind of psychedelic sounding,
Yeah, cool. That's a real cool sounding, like, original name. I think, like you said, it's just very important in all the ads and stuff to have a tribute to Jimi Hendrix, so people kind of, know what it is. But, so do you guys just play locally, or do you get a chance ever to go on tour, in other states of that?
Well, not just yet. The drummer and myself, I have careers that might not allow us to travel
to do that. Yeah.
Weeks at a time, but we are starting to branch out of the Bay Area, and we're trying to branch out into more the casinos and bigger theaters, and maybe we'll come down to LA and have some friends that go down quite a bit and play the whiskey.
Yeah,
they're from the Bay Area over here, so.
Yeah, that'd be cool, because I gotta tell you, there's really, out of this area, I can't really think of one single Jimi Hendrix tribute. And again, I don't know why that is, but the main one I know, the premier guy that I know that's been doing it for years is this guy called Randy Hanson. Have you ever checked him out?
I love Randy Hanson as much as I love Jimi Hendrix. And actually, one of my bass players, he actually used to play with Randy Hanson.
Wow.
For a while there, so I'm fully aware of Randy Hanson. That's just
another level.
Right?
Yeah.
Took Jimmy's stage antics and took it to another level. The guy's absolutely hands down the best Hendrix tribute.
Yeah, I really tip my hat to that guy, because, like you said, even if you go on his site and you look at any of his pictures, he really looks, you'd swear he was Jimi Hendrix, reborn.
Yeah, he really is truly amazing. Truly amazing. So, hopefully he'll retire soon and we can take over the ring.
Yeah, well, I think that's one thing you definitely got going for yourself, is that allows people to go see a show like you, because, there's tons of Jimi Hendrix fans worldwide. There's not a whole lot of Jimi Hendrix tributes. There's a few, like you said. Usually, the cream rises to the top, and the ones that got talent, they're the ones that stick around.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Did you research any of the other Jimi Hendrix tribute bands, and why did you choose us?
Well, to be honest, like I said, I'm aware of Randy, and he's probably the top guy, and there's a few others I came across, but that's one thing that really popped into my mind is, I was thinking to myself, I'm surprised why there aren't more Jimi Hendrix tributes, and then part of my research is also, and not just looking bands up that are online, but from different parts, like I'm from Los Angeles, so when people, I don't want to just represent all of Los Angeles. I wanted to get bands from different areas. And I thought you're from a Bay Area, and I thought, hey, that here's a guy doing Jimi Hendrix from a Bay Area. I'd like to go see what this guy's story is, and that's kind of part of my reason I picked you. Yeah.
You. I believe you did an interview with our friends, Cruella.
Yeah. It was about a year ago, and I interviewed them, and cool thing for anybody to know about Cruella. They're also from the Bay Area. They're an all-female Motley Crue tribute act. But if you go on their site, I gotta tell people, all female. That's kind of their niche that they got going. But they're hot-looking chicks. They and even though they're chicks, they look like and sound like Motley Crue.
They play their instruments well.
Yeah. Now, have you ever played any shows with them?
we have a couple shows coming up with those guys. We're going to be doing a show with those guys and Destroyer, another Kiss tribute band. And we've done shows with them in the past, and a couple of those members in Cruella also are the drummer and bass player in the all-girls Ramone tribute band, the Hormones.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, you might want to check those guys out too.
I will definitely.
We all kind of do gigs together. And
yeah, I will definitely do that. And the cool thing, Fred, is about getting these interviews done that I do is oftentimes I will find the bands online myself, and oftentimes, just like you were just telling me, I got these. I know this other band, Cruella, and I know this other band. And other people refer me to these bands, and I think that's a cool thing. Like you were telling me that my experience with the tribute band has been tribute bands. They're almost like a fraternity where instead of like if you're in an original band, you're competing with other bands. You try to help each other out. So much to the point that hey.
Well, I think what like for myself, I put on a lot of these shows myself, so I'm constantly looking for other tribute acts to bill with, and I have probably a roster of like 40 different tribute bands that I can book with. But I think the thing about tributes as opposed to trying to book with original music, well, for one, it's harder to put a package together for originals like that. And you're also fighting for the same gigs. Everybody wants those openers for the national acts, but with tribute acts, you have to go to the venues, and you have to already have a package together. And so it just gives us all more opportunities if we all use each other's sources. So it's not really like a competition. Everybody's benefiting from it, which is the way the music scene should be anyway, in my opinion.
So let me ask you, Fred, when you're trying to book gigs for your band, Liquid Sky, being that there aren't a lot of Jimi Hendrix tributes in the area, does that come in handy, or do you have to actually?
Absolutely. Yeah, because some of these guys, they've been aching to see Jimi Hendrix, and like you said, Randy doesn't travel outside of Seattle except for Germany, and if you like I said, Randy's the closest thing to Jimmy.
Yeah.
So there's I think he comes down to LA. I think he was in your area just a little while ago. I think he played in Irvine or something like that. Oh,
I'm not sure about that, but you probably know better than I do. But the cool thing, like a guy like Randy again, he's been doing this a number of years, and he's kind of a top guy, and he doesn't have to travel. People will travel to Seattle to see him because the word about what he does is just, but he's amazing, and so a guy like that, people will travel to go see somebody like that, and then Yeah.
I traveled to go see a Jimi Hendrix band like us.
Yeah. And let me ask you, have you ever had a chance to? They have what's now called every year like the Jimi Hendrix Experience Tour, where like one year they had Zakk Wylde and Brad Whitford, where they go and.
Yeah, I just went to that one. Yeah, I've been to like the last three that they've had.
Oh, okay. And what was that like for you as a Hendrix fan? Is that something that you enjoyed going to?
Absolutely, yeah. It's great seeing everybody else's renditions of Jimmy's songs, and being able to play with Billy Cox and Mitch Mitchell up until recently. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing to have everybody from Brad Whitford, like you said, Zakk Wylde. I saw Steve Vai on a bill, Faye Wayne Shepherd, Johnny Lang.
I think Eric Johnson.
And some of these lesser-known players that I've known about for a while, like Indigenous, Montananji, he's been a kind of like a blues rock Hendrix kind of like guy for a long time, and Doyle Brummel, Junior. He did a phenomenal job.
I mean, you just go down that list you just went down, and that kind of just goes to show you what an accomplished musician Jimmy was. I mean, because you got blues guys, and like you said, I think a lot of guys that are into Jimmy for his rock music might be surprised to learn that he's really heavily, rooted in the blues as well as rock music.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the root of most all music right there. And so that's when people were playing metal, and I have a lot of friends that are do the metal thing, and they're still doing it to this day, which is cool. But I kind of went a different route, and I maybe that's why my approach to when I'm playing Jimmy, it might be different than the approach of somebody who's studying Jimmy from maybe that played metal before, or even a technical standpoint. It's really, I'm rooted in the blues. I love B.B. King and Albert King, and of course all the Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf. That's what Jimmy listened to.
Yeah. And now let me ask you now. One thing I think is cool in talking to you, like the fact that that Liquid Sky could say do a show with Cruella. I mean, it's cool in the sense that you have no preconceived notions. Oh, we're doing Jimi Hendrix. We could never do a show with the Motley Crue tribute band. Because to me, the thing about Jimi Hendrix is, you could play with a Who tribute, a Beatles tribute, any number of different bands.
We've played with such diverse tributes and even just original acts. We played with rockabilly bands before. Punk rock bands, blues bands, R&B bands, a lot of, even some metal bands, and you kind of wouldn't think to, put a bill together like that. But once again, it's about, turning each other on to
different things,
to Jimmy's music, and to their music.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just think that's the, you're not, the other thing is, by being that way, you're not limiting yourself to, to number of gigs you can get, or just getting out there and playing.
Yeah, that's what's really cool, because we get booked at all kinds of different places, like I said, from blues places to kind of like punk rock hipster places, to supper clubs, it's pretty interesting. You have a lot more versatility to book as, if you were to stick with one genre of music.
It sounds like when you started Liquid Sky, it was simply started as a fun little project because you being a Jimi Hendrix fan, you wanted to get up there and play these songs. But have you at all been surprised at the response you get? I mean, did you ever think you could have this level of success just doing, a tribute band?
Well, like I said, looking back about 2 years ago when I wasn't even singing, I would tell you, thinking, where we are right now, and looking back in retrospect, I would probably tell you, no, that's not, where we'd be right now. But, there's a couple good shows and events that kind of really exposed us to more people. And I think it's the buzz is out now, let's just say, Even though we've been around for a little while, it's just, branching out and getting people to know about us.
I mean that's what we're doing like this for tonight, because it's all about getting the word out. And the cool thing is, the more shows you play, hopefully the more people find out about the band. Talk a little bit about your fan base as far as people go on your Facebook page. I mean, you must get people going on there daily and just checking out what you're doing.
We seem to get people checking out our page, and lately now it's our gigs are becoming a lot easier because people call me.
Yeah.
So it's great to be recognized.
I think that I would think the cool thing too about you doing Jimi Hendrix, this Jimi Hendrix tribute is, like a guy like Randy Hanson says, people may go up to tell, hey man, you look and sound just like Jimmy. You don't necessarily look like Jimmy, but I'm sure you get a ton of people coming and telling you, hey man, you don't look like Jimmy, but you know what, you play the songs just like he did, and that's got to be the ultimate.
I usually get people telling me, you look like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well that's cool. He's another one of my heroes too. So.
Yeah, no offense, but to me, looking at your photo here, you look like a cross between. That's a good that's a good description. Steve, you look like a cross to me between Richie Sambora and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Right on, I'll take that.
But and speaking of Stevie Ray Vaughan, is that another guy that you were influenced by?
Absolutely. You know, I have a lot of older friends that actually did see Jimi Hendrix, and they saw Stevie Ray Vaughan. Obviously, you know, I wasn't old enough to experience Jimi Hendrix, but they saw both, and you know, seeing Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I could totally relate to what they're saying. Seeing Stevie Ray Vaughan for the first time was like you knew that you were seeing something special, and they had, you know, a lot of them tell me that, you know, it's the same feeling. They knew, like, when they saw Jimi Hendrix, you were seeing something special. When you saw Stevie Ray for the first time, you knew that there was just something different about this kid.
And I can hear in your voice talking to you, you know, Fred, that, you know, Jimmy is your guy. This is a guy that really influenced you. But had you ever toyed with the idea of putting together like a Stevie Ray Vaughan tribute? Because I don't know if you've ever played any of those songs, but like, again, I bet you could learn them, and you look like the guy.
You know, there's a lot of people that are asking me. I've toyed with maybe the idea of because I already know those songs. Doing like maybe a set of Stevie Ray Vaughan. Because sometimes when we do our bar gigs, you know, the average person doesn't want to hear 4 hours of Jimi Hendrix, although we could do it, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'd find people that
branch out.
I'm sure people that would go see that, but you know, just coming out with the idea like that, I mean, that would be a cool thing, like you know, Liquid Sky, you know, the Jimmy and Stevie show or something like that. Again, the same guy, kind of, you know, doing two different sets. You get a little intermission between, take a little break, but that'd be a totally cool idea. But
absolutely, you should check out. There's a guy down your way over there in L.A., and I think his name is. I just came across him, you know, researching tributes myself. Alan Iglesias and Crossfire, I believe, and he does the Stevie Ray Vaughan tribute.
I'll have to check that out. Well, yeah, Fred, I know you're feeling a little under the weather, and so I don't want to make you lose your voice or anything. It's been great talking to you, though, and like I said, the interview will probably be going up in about a week or so. I'll let you know the minute it goes up. Before I let you go, is there anything else you want to say to the people?
Long live Jimi Hendrix.
Okay, and thanks so much, Fred, and I'll be sure to get you a copy of the interview and let you know when it goes up. But you take care of yourself and keep your voice and please keep it.
We'll make it down to L.A. Your way, you know, sometime.
Yeah, please keep in touch, and I'd love to do this again. But you take care, and we'll be talking to you later. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.